What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six podcast, CBS Sports. I guess we could say daily NFL podcast. Sure feels like it's more often than that these days. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is Wednesday, March 30th, around 9 p.m. Eastern time at night. And this is an emergency podcast because the NFL just doesn't stop. I mean, this is probably not the last thing I would have guessed, not the first thing I would have guessed, John Breach, but Bruce Arians, the former now Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach, is retiring from football, stepping down, and Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator, taking over. As we always do, scale of 1 to 10. Where's this rank?
This is a 9.999999. This is as close as you can mathematically get to 10 without it being a 10. It's shocking. It's stunning, but his health, and there was retirement reports in the past.
But he's retired before.
Right. Exactly.
Already.
But the fact that we're in March and it looked like he was locked in and Tom Brady was coming back and he's trying to win a second Super Bowl 3 years. That's where the shock comes in. I thought Peter King, who tweeted out, who broke the news, I honestly thought he got hacked. I was like, do I need to call Twitter? What's going on here?
Yeah, I saw it. I can't remember. I don't think I have Peter King set for. I saw the tweet somehow. I was upstairs getting Robbie into the shower. You know, you're old enough to take a shower. No bath, shower time, right? Getting him in the shower, getting ready for bed, and then all of a sudden you see that, and it was big enough where it was big enough that I was like, I gotta go. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those where it was like, I have to go. And you know, you don't, and I think AK could tell that it was legitimately big enough news. This is not Russell Wilson traded or even Tom Brady coming out of retirement or Tom Brady retiring. We'll get to that. But it's definitely huge news. I mean, it's the coach of a major Super Bowl favorite, Super Bowl champion 2 years ago, a team that nearly made a Super Bowl run last year, and Tom Brady's head coach leaving his team after the new league year started, after the owners' meetings, after the combine, a month before the draft, when they're the favorite or one of the three favorites to come out of the NFC and a clear-cut favorite to win their division. And after Matt Ryan's been traded, the Panthers couldn't land a quarterback, and the Saints are, coming back without Sean Payton. Like, this team had a cakewalk to the NFC title.
Yeah. And so you were thinking, hey, when Tom Brady retired, who knows what's going to happen? That would have been the time for Bruce Arians to retire. But I thought the interesting thing he said to Peter King was that he didn't want to leave a bare cupboard for Todd Bowles and see Todd Bowles get screwed over again. Because we know that Todd Bowles, who is now the Buccaneers head coach, as was part of the Bruce Arians announcement, he was not the coach of a good team, and it wasn't his fault. He took over for a bad Jets team, and I'm not sure that anyone could have succeeded in that situation. And so I think what Arians wanted to do, and I don't have to think because this is what he said, was that I'm going to give Todd Bowles this great team. We're stacked going into this season. Like you said, Brinson, they should cakewalk to the NFC South title. They're one of three teams that feel like a Super Bowl contender in the NFC. I'm going to give Todd Bowles this team so he has a great chance at success.
So this came out in an interesting fashion. Bruce Arians, around, I guess, dinner time on Wednesday night, jumped on and did a 25-minute phone call with Peter King of NBC Sports and Sam Farmer of the Los Angeles Times. Hey, Ryan Wilson joining us for the emergency podcast. What's up, buddy?
I was about to retire, but then I thought I better not.
Oh! What? How would you rank it? 1 to 10.
On the surprise factor?
Yeah.
Well, you guys might recall back when Tom Brady retired, somebody said, I don't know if he gets along with Bruce Arians. So Breach remembers, you know what I'm talking about, Breach.
Yeah, that's been the buzz.
Yeah.
I was just saying that the way that this came out was really interesting because Bruce Arians did a 25-minute phone call with Sam Farmer of the LA Times and Peter King of NBC Sports, both longtime venerable columnists, knows him really well. But the way that
Farmer, the only person on Twitter that has me blocked. Go ahead.
That's right. That's right.
You would block Ryan Wilson.
I know, right?
Peter King, like the way that this, all right, so just reading the tea leaves here. Peter King has subheads like he does for FMIA, for his column every Monday. So this was not cobbled together really quickly, like you get the news and it's rushing to get it out. This was clearly vetted through editors, was given like addressing surprise, not shock. Interesting. Unusual timing, addressing that. Arians said, and he was asked, he said, the logical question, this is Peter King writing, with Arians' odd timing about stepping down will be, is there a connection between Brady's return and Arians quitting coaching? No, Arians said, no. Tom was very in favor of what I'm doing. I mean, I had conflicts with every player I coached because I cussed them all out, including him. Great relationship off the field. And the other subhead is no risk it, no biscuit.
Well, real quick on that quote, that doesn't deny
it not at all.
So, that's interesting. That's a non-denial denial.
100%. And then Arians apparently met at 8:00 with he met with his coaching staff and then sent a message to all of his players. Tom Brady, as Debo has pulled up on the YouTube channel, posted on Instagram a multi-paragraph thank you to Arians. The Buccaneers about 8:30-ish maybe issued a really lengthy statement, an article on the team site written by like Scott Smith, I think, and a lengthy 10, 15 paragraph. It was long for a quote, a statement from Bruce Arians, just sort of thanking everybody, thanking the Bucs, thank Michael Bidwell of the Cardinals, sort of tried to address everything. And the narrative that's being pushed is that with Tom Brady coming back, Arians wanted to get out of the way to allow Todd Bowles, his longtime right-hand man who coached the Jets for a few years but didn't succeed there, to coach a quality team and not get stuck with, I think, crappy job was the quote. So I find it very orchestrated and very convenient that the narratives are being foisted upon the public in this sort of fashion. Are you alone in thinking that? Or am I alone in thinking that?
I will say this. I thought it was interesting that Jay Glazer retweeted Peter King. Jay Glazer is a great guy. I don't, that's no issue with that. But the fact that Jay Glazer wasn't one of the people breaking it also gives you sort of some credence to your conspiracy theory that this just didn't happen over the last 15 minutes. Part of the thing is Bruce is old. He's had health issues. The timing is such that it lines up and allows his guys that he wants to sort of take over. And I'm fine with all that. I don't know how much truth there is to the rumor that he and Brady didn't get along or whatever, but Brady came back. Bruce, do you think Brady came back with the understanding that Bruce was going to moonwalk out the door?
Look, I remember reading, I don't even remember where it was, maybe tweets somewhere that we saw those pictures of Brady at a Manchester United game. The Glazers own them. And we were like, hey, Brady's talking with the Glazers today. He's hanging out in their booth. I wonder what they're talking about. The guy flew all the way to England to meet with his team's owners. I mean, is it that crazy to think he's like, look, guys, I want to come back, but there's a few things that need to change. And then maybe he said, look, me and Bruce aren't getting along. Doesn't mean he wanted Bruce out. And maybe the Glazers told Bruce that. And he was like, you know what? I was going to step down anyway. And this part is what Bruce Arians told Peter King, is that he was going to retire likely after this upcoming season. And so why not just step aside now and let Todd Bowles have this loaded team? Because you don't know what the Buccaneers are going to be next season. Tom Brady might not be there. If Bruce Arians retires after 2022, then maybe Todd Bowles is stuck in a situation where he just has bad players again and has no chance at winning a Super Bowl because he has no idea who his quarterback is going to be in 2023. So yeah, I think what Brinson said, this absolutely feels like a favor to Todd Bowles. But despite that, it's shocking. I mean, it's shocking to see this happen due to the timing. At late March.
Are you shocked though? Because I saw the tweet. Actually, the first thing I saw was Brinson put it in our little Slack channel, and I thought, okay. Like Bill Belichick retiring, super shocking. Belichick retiring, even more shocking.
I'm only shocked because of the timing, because it's less than a month to the draft.
But here's the thing: that timing allows Todd Bowles. It ensures Todd Bowles is the guy. You know.
And also, Schefter just tweeted that Todd Bowles, the Buccaneers are tearing up his final 2 years left on his contract, which makes sense because he is a defensive coordinator's contract, and they're giving him a new 5-year head coaching contract.
The look, I get the whole explanation, but Arians also said it's not about my health. You know, he said it's all about the succession plan.
And he's like, what's his name in Succession?
Doc protest too much.
What's the head man's name? What's the old timer's name in Succession?
I don't watch Succession. I haven't yet. I will.
Brenton's not paying attention. I can't.
Roy.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
Sorry, my wife knows I'm podcasting. It's still just
actually he's a little bit. He actually looks a little like him too.
Blasting me with text. It's like you know, like I left to go podcast. You know what I'm doing.
Tell your wife that you've retired from answering texts.
You don't have to pick up the phone, by the way. You know that.
Let's also speaking of Tampa, let's refrain from tweeting me about my wife's friend in Tampa, podcast listeners, because that one got back to her.
Didn't even know that was a thing.
I guess the weird part for me is that on February 17th, 2022.
Here comes Encyclopedia Brown.
Bruce Arians said, I tried retirement and it didn't work out too good. I'm having a good time. It's easy for me with my coordinators coming back. Why not coach? Bruce Arians' wife said, we had that retirement talk. So we'll see what next year brings. He loves it. Are you kidding me? It's a challenge. He loves a challenge. And I believe Tom Brady had retired by then.
Yeah, Tom Brady didn't come back till after the combine, because at the combine, Bruce Arians told JLC on set, we would love to have you, or he's not going anywhere else, or whatever the conversation was.
We're not trading him. You know, if he wants to come back, they left the light on for him. Then he comes back. And then like 2 weeks later, Bruce Arians is like, I gotta go. And I've been texting with Prisco about this. Pete knows Bruce Arians very well. He thinks that Arians went to his his cabin, his house in Georgia, down at Lake Oconee, where I've been. Great place, really, really awesome place. And then he
has a house near Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, hunkered down for like a week, 2 weeks, or whatever it was, and was sort of like, man, I don't really feel like grinding on this. I don't believe he was at the owners' meetings, which is extremely notable.
He wasn't in the photo that we.
He was not there. I think you had Belichick, McCarthy.
Well, Belichick and McCarthy were there.
No, McCarthy wasn't there.
No, they were present for the owners.
McCarthy was not present.
I saw a video of Belichick.
Mike McCarthy.
Oh, that was at a pro day. You're right. It was
Mike McCarthy. Belichick was there. Belichick was there.
Sorry.
Dan Campbell wasn't there. Mike McCarthy wasn't there, and I believe Bruce Arians wasn't there. Those three were not in the picture. Belichick was the only one who missed the picture, who was at.
That's right.
One thing, Breach.
Yes.
We don't know. We don't have confirmation yet. Bruce Arians could have been standing behind Matt Rule. We're not sure about that yet.
Speaking of Matt Rule, is now the longest tenured head coach in the NFC South. Wrap your head around that one.
For another 3 months.
How's that? I might steal that tweet.
I already tweeted it out. You did.
He'll still steal it.
I believe that, and Prisco said this too. Yeah. Arians coached week 17 with a ruptured Achilles. He's pretty old to be.
I mean, it's not like he's playing. It's fine.
I mean, that
you still got to move around. You're at practice. It's a lot of walking. You put that Fitbit on, you're taking like probably 20 or 30,000 steps at a football practice, just as a coach.
I mean, and look, coaching, doing everything that's required as a football coach with a ruptured Achilles, which you're going to have to rehab for at his age, probably rehab for a full year. I mean, that's not exactly easy. So that maybe that's a potential too. All right, we'll get to some winners and losers. We'll get to the break in a second, but I want to ask you this: just what percentage, conspiracy wise or not, do you assign Bruce Arians' departure from the Bucs to Tom Brady's return to the Bucs?
52%.
Ooh, that is high.
I will say 45% because that's how old Brady is. But I feel like it's had to have something to do with it.
I'll say, out of respect for BA, I'll say 12%.
Which is weird because you two are the biggest conspiracy theorists on this podcast.
Yeah, I think it's probably
like
higher.
You are now, Wilson.
I know.
You get the title from us.
You just don't retire on March 30th. Like as Peter King wrote in his story, the Bucs had to go to the NFL and say, "Hey, will you waive? Can we potentially waive the Rooney Rule requirements which is kind of ridiculous because you're hiring a,
that'd be hysterical if they waived it. They wouldn't let them waive it, and they hired a white guy.
You're supposed to interview 2 minority candidates, but they're like, we're hiring Todd Bowles.
They said Byron, Todd. Okay, let's get this on the papers.
Yeah. But coaches are not allowed to interview this late after the new league year has started. You can't. So
wait a second. If someone gets fired, like if Urban Meyer had gotten fired today, the Jaguars just can't have a coach next year. How does that work?
You got to promote from within.
Oh, I see. Well, maybe that's part of the timing. Is that your point?
No, that's a good point. Maybe that. but he could have done it 2 weeks ago.
I think the timing doesn't bother me because the draft is still a month away, and Todd Bowles, he knows he's in the building. He's been in the building for a few years now. That's the continuity, as they say, breach is.
Or the timing is, hey, I don't want to show up to spring practice, which starts in 3 weeks, and have everyone watch me and Tom Brady not get along and know that we weren't getting along.
But they knew that already, breach. It's not
people are going to start looking for it though.
No, I don't think old man Arians cares about that.
Well, so
the timing is just a little.
The timing would be much weirder if it were 3 weeks from now or right before the draft.
No, if it would have been January, it would not have been weird. Like
but
after after they lost the playoff game, 2 weeks.
That goes back to Brinson's point that he didn't know he was making.
Do you think Bruce Arians retires if Tom Brady stays retired?
No.
That goes back. Let me make my first point. That goes back to Brinson's original point where they can't interview anyone else now. So you have to hire from within. It's sort of like when Jim Calhoun left and what's his face had to succeed him?
Kevin Ollie,
because that's exactly who he wanted to succeed him, and he timed it in a way that it didn't make sense to try to bring anyone.
Like if Brinson retired right now, we're the only 2 people on this podcast. Like you might hire someone for tomorrow, but you're stuck with one of us now.
Debo's here. That's disrespectful.
That's true. Debo would be the host.
I think everything that Bruce Arians explained about the succession plan, and by the way, Bruce Arians is moving into a front office role with the Buccaneers, so he's technically still involved.
Is it like a Tom Coughlin type situation?
I don't think it's that high up. I think it's more like John Elway's current situation.
Oh, okay.
Where you're involved, or he's a special assistant to football operations or something.
Gotcha.
Here's the thing too. Todd Bowles gets promoted and not Byron Leftwich, which means that Todd Bowles is going to be the head coach, obviously, and run the defense. You know who's running the offense?
Byron.
Tom Brady and Byron. And there had been some reports that like Bruce would, alter up game plans because, I think, I don't know. I think, all right, you know what? Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll do winners and losers. And I think we'll get to all of that. Okay. So
just so I'm clear, so that BA might offer game plans from his new position as special assistant to the traveling secretary?
I've been watching a lot of Seinfeld.
I believe his job is senior football assistant.
Yeah, I don't think he will have
that sounds like something that is just made up on the spot.
Yeah. That's the other thing too, is like he's not actually retiring, he's staying with the Bucs.
My bad. Senior football consultant. That's his official title.
All right, so I'm going to say the first winner is Tom Brady because Byron Leftwich is going to inherently defer to Tom Brady's choices in the game plan, in the play calling, in everything they do from an offensive standpoint, more than Bruce Arians would have, just because of sort of the nature of that relationship and the age difference in that relationship and sort of how Bruce Arians operated as a coach. He's old school. Like he played at Vatech, but he coached with Bear Bryant. That's his first coaching job. He's not going to be like, hey, Tom, do what you want on the field. So I think Tom Brady is a big winner here. Additionally, because if you want to buy into the conspiracy theory, Tom Brady flexed on him and said, I'm coming back and you're not. So that's my winner.
I agree. I think it's a great winner. I'm going to steal the next one before Breach does. I'm going to go with Byron Leftwich. Obviously, Todd Bowles is the winner, too. He has a head coaching job. I think he'll be really good at it. And to Bruce's point, it allows him to have a situation that's not crappy. And you could argue that the Jets at various points of his time there were pretty crappy. But I think Byron Leftwich now is out from under BA's thumb. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's one less layer between him and a head coaching job. And if he continues to have success with Tom Brady and without Bruce Arians, I would imagine that will open up some more coaching opportunities. We still don't know the answer to whether Byron told Shad Khan and the crew that he would take that job in Jacksonville if they got rid of Trent Baalke. I would like to know the answer to that because I sort of respect that for a potential first-year head coach. But yeah, I think it's good news for him as well.
Well, I'm going to interrupt our winners and losers to offer more to feed the gasoline to the fire of our conspiracy theories. Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times is reporting that Tom Brady was informed that Bruce Arians was planning to retire as coach either the same day that he announced he was coming back or the day after.
Booyah.
The team still insists that Arians' decision had nothing to do with Brady's decision.
Pardon me, I'll be right back. I need to dunk on Pete's face real fast.
That is that's mind blowing. I don't know how you could spin that any other way except that Brady said I'll come back if Arians is stepping down and Arians decides he's stepping down the same day Brady's returning or within 24 hours.
And Brady came back and announced he was coming out of retirement 24 hours after being at a Manchester City game with the owners of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, I mean, this is a clear-cut connect the dots situation.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Well, don't forget where you heard it first.
And so basically the Bucs have spent the past how long ago did Tom Brady retire? You could tell me 6 months and I believe you.
February 1st.
Okay, so it's been roughly 2 months.
No. February 1st?
March 1st.
March 1st.
Yeah.
March, no?
Because it was after the combine.
Oh, yeah, it's March 1st.
I mean, it's definitely after he retired because the retirement leak came out the Saturday before JLC reported it Friday before the championship games.
No, it's February 1st because he was retired for 40 days. I know that for a fact. And he announced he was coming back on, I think, March 13th.
March 13th.
Yeah, it was February 1st. He announced his retirement. He announced his retirement on February 1st.
So it's been 2 weeks since he came back.
Right.
No, I was saying, when did he come back? Because that's when Bruce Arians found out, right?
Yeah, not when he retired. We know he's retired.
So Bruce Arians has known he was going to retire. Bruce Arians has known that Bruce Arians was going to retire for 2 weeks.
Yes, we all agree.
And it happened when Tom Brady came back after he visited with the Glazers in England.
And so it's not that crazy to think that the Glazers were saying, look, Tom, if you come back, Bruce won't be the coach.
Or that Tom said, hey, what about the situation? They're like, yeah, no problem. You're Tom Brady.
I mean, it just seems that's the only way this could have played out.
In the past, 17 days, so roughly 2 weeks.
Do you want to revise your conspiracy theory percentages?
I'm doubling.
What is 100 minus 12?
88.
And I'm doing 45 times 2, 90%.
Yeah, I'll take 88%. And also that, like, they've basically spent these 2 weeks. Okay, how are we going to? We can't announce. If we announce it now, it's obvious what happened, right? Like, if Bruce Arians retires the day after Tom Brady returns, it's very obvious what happens. So you wait 2 weeks. You spin up this PR approach, and look, I'm not saying that you get Peter King and Sam Farmer to report it, and people are going to believe it because they are reputable, and they're not doing anything shady. They got a call with Bruce Arians for 25 minutes to get quotes and ask him questions. They asked him about Tom Brady forcing him out, and they wrote columns on what they had. It is very, very orchestrated. Is what my point is, and it's hard not to think.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, we're making a big conspiracy. It's not Watergate. Like, it's just old timer has to leave because slightly less older guy doesn't get along with him, wants to play for a couple more years.
Cranky old football coach has to leave because greatest quarterback of all time is tired of bickering with him about his offense and wants to win football games. Yeah,
and that's it. And I think, whether it happened 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks from now, I get it. I was just curious initially when Breach said he was sort of surprised, because I wasn't that surprised by it, just because we knew that there was some stuff going on behind the scenes. And in fact, when Tom Brady came back and we did 27 emergency podcasts, we were wondering, okay, how's this going to work with BA? And here we are.
Yeah. I guess we had gotten, and again, credit to the Bucs for figuring out the timing of this. We had gotten so far into Tom Brady's back, Bruce Arians is here, that it was like, okay, maybe that was a bunch of BS and these guys are going to be fine working together in 2022. And then, look, it was going to leak out. So
also credit to the Buccaneers for not doing this Friday night at 10 p.m.
Yeah, seriously.
That's how you know that's also not a big deal to them. They're not burying it as deep as possible over the weekend.
It's actually smart. You do it on Wednesday at Or you can't. Well, if you do it on, oh, actually, you know what, Wilson?
Well, it seems like they didn't want to overshadow free agency. They didn't want to answer these questions about this at the owners' meetings.
You know why you can't do it Friday at 10 p.m.?
Because Bruce Arians is in bed.
It's April Fool's Day.
Oh, that's when you do it.
No, you can't. You gotta do it before you. You can't do it on Friday because
tweeting that.
For the mental well-being of the Buccaneers PR person, we will not do it on Friday because that person will their phone won't stop ringing. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I was trying to do the Duke UNC angle there, but that's Saturday.
Yeah. So, all right. Any other? I mean, Bruce Arians feels like a loser. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that dude's going off to his home in Georgia. He's gonna have some beers and sit on his porch and go fishing. I don't know if there are worse things to do with your time.
How did Tom Brady get along with Bill Belichick for like 20 years?
I think here's how I would describe it. Tom Brady was in a marriage where Bill Belichick, like he was the 20-year older husband, had all the money, made all the rules, and the relationship was such that Tom just listened to him. Like there was never that's the sort of relationship they had. Tom finally got a divorce and said, you know what? He found his voice, and he said, I will never be treated like that again. And then once he ran into old crotchety BA, he did it for a year. And once the kids went off to college, he said, peace out.
Yeah. I mean, Arians got his, it's weird because Arians and Brady got the Super Bowl. And Arians talked about credit winner Jason LaCanfora, who reported during the lockout Super Bowl to the 2021 Super Bowl after
February 1st, 2021, I believe, is the tweet that Breach showed us.
Probably wanted to that Bruce Arians was thinking about retiring after they won the Super Bowl, and then Arians decided he wanted to run it back. They dealt with a bunch of injuries down the stretch. They weren't as good a football team. You're past that. We've won the Super Bowl. You're kind of past the niceties of the relation. You're not like.
What's interesting though that you say that the Steelers ran BA out of Pittsburgh because he was too buddy with Big Ben.
Yep.
And Big Ben is not notoriously thin-skinned, but he has had some friction with his offensive coordinators, including of course Todd Haley. So it's interesting that he and maybe the fact that he wasn't a head coach and he was just the OC was different. So that's sort of also curious.
And didn't Bruce Arians technically retire from the Steelers too? Like I feel like he's retired 3.
He didn't retire from the Steelers. Maybe he did. Like they didn't do
it was framed as a retirement, but then he got hired as a head coach. He went to the Colts as the OC after that.
And then he took over when the coach at the time got cancer. What's his name?
Chuck
Pagano, right? Yeah, when he beat cancer, so he was there for Andrew Luck's rookie season.
And he won Coach of the Year in 2012 with Andrew Luck. And then
we were sitting in the room in New Orleans when he accepted the award, wearing this little Kangol hat.
Yep. And then he took the Cardinals job in 2013. Won Coach of the Year with them, so he won back-to-back Coach of the Years with different teams, which is really impressive. Eventually took the Cardinals to the NFC Championship game. And this is the Brady conspiracy stuff is sort of unfair that we're not giving Bruce Arians his due here, by the way. We should do that now. Arians took the Cardinals to the conference championship game, played him in Carolina, revived Carson Palmer's career after he was traded for like peanuts from the Raiders. Nobody thought it would work out. Palmer became a borderline MVP candidate. Cardinals made some deep runs in the playoffs. Arians I want to say, I don't think he retired from the Cardinals, but he's never been fired. Like he always sort of contract expired or he's retired from the Steelers. I mean, like that's how people treat him with that reverence. And then of course he came to Tampa Bay. He got out of coaching, was our colleague at CBS on broadcast announcements or the play-by-play in the booth.
Year.
Well, I mean, he retired from the Cardinals job.
Yeah. And did play-by-play. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean,
I'm pretty sure he retired from the Steelers, technically.
There may have been something where they were moving on and the way they framed it, but he did not want to leave, I believe, is what eventually came out.
Yeah, it's too hard to find it right now. No. Here it is. Pittsburgh Steelers announced offensive coordinator Bruce Arians is retiring. Mike Tomlin said, Bruce Arians has informed me that he will retire from coaching. So Bruce Arians is technically retired
3 times?
3
He's
times.
a Tom Brady of coaches.
There you go.
He's the Brett Favre of coaches.
And obviously, look, he takes the Tampa Bay job. They lure. He had Jameis for 1 year. Jameis goes 30 for 30. They lure Tom Brady down to Tampa. They win the Super Bowl in a home stadium. First time that's ever happened. Now it's happened twice. And eventually, they made a decent run last year. Coaches are so weird. Coaches really don't get the Hall of Fame. He's probably not getting in the Hall of Fame if Mike Shanahan's not in.
Oh yeah. You would know more about that. I don't have any pushback on the coaching situation because I don't know what's up.
But yeah, I mean, I think Bruce Arians is certainly one of the most colorful characters the NFL has ever had.
Never had any issue with him. I like him.
I like Bruce Arians too. People complain about his fourth down decision making, but clock management. Nobody likes anybody's clock management or fourth down.
And also, he's from the era of the Pete Carrolls of the world, and even Bill Belichick, who is in his late 60s, is relatively conservative compared to these newfangled Brandon Staley's.
Hey, speaking of Pete Carroll, he is 70, the oldest NFC coach besides him.
Oh, let me guess. Let's see. 70. He must be the oldest NFL coach, period.
Oh, he is, but I'm only using the NFC for what I'm about to say.
I'm trying to think. Mike McCarthy's probably next. Is that right?
He is not next.
Dang it. Close? Oh, you don't know his age?
I mean, like close. Oh, I don't know how old Mike McCarthy is.
Mike McCarthy has to be 56.
Probably not.
All right, give me go ahead.
It's kind of close. McCarthy is 58. Ron Rivera is
63.
60 years old.
60 years old.
60.
He looks good for 60.
He is the only coach in the 60 decade who is between 60 and 69 years old. So you have Pete Carroll at 70. Now that Bruce Arians is gone, you have one 60-year-old coach. Everyone else is 59 and younger.
Dang. I think Bill Belichick is 67.
Not an old man's game anymore. Wilson.
Sean Payton was he even 60? He was like 59, I think. So he still would have been under the 60 threshold. Todd Bowles might be in his 60s though, Breach. He's close. He's like late 50s, I think.
Yeah, it's true. That is true.
Let's see. Todd Bowles is 58.
He's up there. Is he 58? Is he older than Mike McCarthy or younger? Because they're both 58.
November 18th, 1963, which is not far off from the time that JFK was assassinated.
Yeah. And Mike McCarthy is November 10th, 1963.
Where were you guys?
Wait, what was Todd Bowles' birthday?
Nate 18th. I think the 21st the date.
23rd. So
23rd.
McCarthy is 8 days older than Todd Bowles.
Two little babies on the grassy knoll.
There's your fun fact.
Mystery solved. All right, there you go.
History
for you.
Did I make the point about how how Tom Brady doesn't have to interact with a head coach who's doing the offense now too? Like I think that matters. It was.
How can you not know if you said that already? We've been sitting here together for 30 minutes.
I did a 4-hour radio show earlier and then an hour podcast before that. I've just been talking nonstop since like
every other day.
I just can't remember what.
Classic Brinson.
Classic Brinson.
Oh, it should be pointed out. The Buccaneers have now hired 4 full-time minority head coaches.
They have at least 1 or 2 women on staff as well.
No other team in NFL history has even hired 2.
Right.
Or 2 is the most.
Two is the most of
the
any
Buccaneers have doubled any other team.
Because you have.
By the way, that's the other thing that Bruce Arians deserves a lot of credit for. That he has made it clear that he likes hiring minority candidates because he thinks they're good. Number one, and also giving them opportunities they wouldn't otherwise have. I think he talked about that on the Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel a few years ago. So credit him for that too. So Tom Brady can not like the way he coaches, and that's all well and good. But I think Bruce Arians has obviously done more good than bad for not only the Buccaneers but every place he's been.
The so Bowles, Raheem Morris, Lovie Smith,
Mike McDaniels.
No. The Buccaneers have hired. Is there?
Oh, I thought you meant the minority candidate.
Yeah, Lovie. What's that?
Dungy.
Oh, Dungy. Duh. Of course. Jeez. Yeah. So that's four minority head coaches. Oddly enough, the guys I was ripping off are. Like Wilson's like Mike McDaniel. It's like, no, Lovie Smith is still a head coach somehow. I think that Bruce Arians deserves a lot of credit in his, when we look at what he brought to the game and the things he did for football, hiring minority head coaches, hiring head coaches outside of the buddy circle for sure. Like he's had Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles with him for a long time and has happily promoted them to get head coaching jobs.
So they also have 2 women on staff. One's the assistant strength and conditioning coach, and the other is the assistant defensive line coach. So there you go.
Really quickly, let's discuss, what do we think? How do we think this? Do we think this changes the Bucs' outlook at all for 2022?
Nope.
No.
Okay. I really don't either. I mean,
so Byron Leftwich running the offense. If anything, maybe Bowles will be a little more progressive with his 4th down calls. Wilson was just talking about how Bruce Arians comes from that old school coaching, the guys who they're going to punt. They're not going to go for it on 4th and 2. Bowles might be a little bit more aggressive. I don't think this changes much.
Do we know who's going to be the defensive coordinator?
That's a good question.
Or is Todd Bowles going to call those plays, I wonder?
Bucs were minus 270 before the news, and they're minus 270 now.
I would say Larry Foote is thought of very highly in that organization, so that could be an option.
Inside linebackers coach, also at the Cardinals, I believe. And
it's 2 guys. Somebody tweeted it out. Sorry, I was trying to find out if Prisco had responded to me about the. He's like, so what does that mean? You really think you can't be that stupid? You think Bruce would have taken a job in the front office if he was forced out? You cannot be that stupid.
He doesn't know you very well, apparently.
Yeah, that's right. So let's see.
Greg Auman reported no word yet, though it's likely to be shared by defensive line coach K.C. Rogers and inside linebackers coach Larry Foote.
There you go. Nice. Good for Foote. Thaddeus Lewis is on staff. You guys remember Thaddeus Lewis?
Oh, yeah, of course. That former Duke quarterback.
Played for the Browns for a minute.
Yeah, I loved him. By the way, just for whatever it's worth, Bruce Arians got in Tom Brady's Instagram comments and said, "Thanks, brother," and put up a little. It actually looks just like this glass, like a little brown glass.
Maybe it's a glass filled with a turd.
I think it's pretty sure it's bourbon.
Okay. You never
right after
know.
him, you know who commented right after Bruce?
Probably you.
Hugh Jackman.
What? I hope we were going to say Hugh Jackman.
What's Hugh Jackman doing? Getting on Tom Brady's Twitter.
It's the Hugh Jackman says, "Congrats at Bruce Arians."
Did you see the video of Brady sending a signed jersey to Hugh Jackman's kid?
No, I didn't know Hugh Jackman's kids were into football.
The kid's like crying. He's like 11 years old. Super heartwarming.
Did you cry, Debo?
I'm a big crier.
I am too. I'll watch it now. You guys can see me cry on air. Oh, there it is. Yeah, because in reality, well, first of all, Hugh Jackman's wearing suspenders, so that's automatically minus 10 points. When was this? This was from March 25th. Yeah, his son probably hasn't had everything given to him in his entire life either.
Oh,
he is crying. He's going crazy. Man, that's great.
One more thing that we probably need to just address and shoot down, I think. But Brady to Miami started trending on Twitter as soon as Arians retired, which to me is.
Well, Mike McDaniel said it's fake news, so.
I don't see.
Why would Brady leave if the coach he wanted out is now out?
Maybe he wants to go to Pittsburgh. You ever think of that?
Yeah, maybe.
I think what we're seeing here is that Brady's not going to sign a new contract. If he feels like he can play after this season, he's going to actually be a free agent next year and he can go sign in Miami. But I cannot see a situation where it's crazy. This has been the craziest offseason ever. But you can't be Tom Brady and tell Ryan Jensen to come back and tell Chris Godwin to sign a long-term contract and tell Leonard Fournette. You can't tell all these guys to come back and ditch them because then you just like the you're backstabbing your friends. And doesn't seem like Tom Brady's MO.
No, for sure. And those guys got paid good money. As you point out, Brady has 2023 years voided automatically. So he could play this year. Yeah, that's a great point, Breach. He could play this year and, make a decision after the season. If he wants to come back to Tampa Bay, obviously they'll have him back. If he wanted to go to Miami, maybe Tua struggles and the Dolphins aren't very good and they want to bring Brady in, or maybe the 49ers, maybe Trey Lance isn't very good and Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Garoppolo has to play most of the season and you bring Tom Brady out there for a year. That's neither one of those options is crazy. I mean, maybe Mac Jones struggles.
Oh, let's stop it. By the way, just some clarification. Debo set me up and gave me wrong information. First of all, this isn't Hugh Jackman's son. It's his co-star in a play they're doing. That explains why they're dressed like it's 1932. So that's different. Nice try, Debo. Very heartwarming.
Damn. I got.
You got. Music Man on Broadway.
Oh, well, hopefully Debo can edit that whole story out of the podcast.
Yeah, he's trying to get me hate mail because I was making fun of the kid
From
for having
Hugh Jackman's
everything.
actual son.
I know, right? Yeah. So Benjamin Pasek is the person who got the 11-year-old who got the Tom Brady jersey and started crying. Also, I will call Hugh Jackman out for giving him that thing 10 minutes before they went on stage. That was disrespectful.
Okay. Good. Any other things Buccaneers related and not Hugh Jackman related?
That's Tom Brady jersey related.
What did you think?
What are
about,
your top 5 Hugh Jackman movies?
what did you think about the Wolverine, Ryan?
I'm not a big which universe is that? Is that DC?
No,
It's in something.
Marvel.
Oh, it is Marvel? Yeah.
But it's not. It's
They're separate universes or whatever. Yeah.
like Spider-Man and Wolverine don't really F around together.
Right. It's fine. I like Hugh Jackman. Like I'm a huge Hugh Jackman fan in general. But
I guess they do have crossovers. I guess they live in the same universes technically.
I actually didn't hate those series of the whatever those guys are called.
X-Men?
Yeah, the what are they called? The people with the genetic deformity.
X-Men.
Yeah, but there's
Mutants.
Yeah, I didn't hate that. That was fine. I
Tom
like that
Brady's
better.
mutant. That's the only way you can play
Yeah,
it.
I like that better than the Marvel universe nonsense. In
Whoa,
general.
that's
Oh, stop it.
shots fired. You're gonna get some hate mail now. Forget the
I'm trying to
thing
think.
about Hugh Jackman's son.
I do like Hugh Jackman. I'm trying to think what my favorite.
That's
Hugh
Brian.
Jackman
That's your
movies are.
hottest take you've ever given on this podcast.
You think so?
X-Men are better than Marvel characters.
Oh,
I dare you to tweet that out and see what happens.
It's not close. Marvel's the Marvel guy, the Marvel universe people are much better than the X-Men.
But you have to understand that Hugh Jackman and the Wolverine stuff came out like in early 2000s, so that they were ahead of their time in that sense.
Okay.
I knew you would come around.
Anything else before we get out of here? Actually, yeah, this is a point. D22 Williams pointed out in the comments that Bruce Arians did kick Tom Brady's favorite human being on the planet ahead of his entire family to the curb, Antonio Brown to the curb in the middle of a football game.
Antonio Brown, I mean, BA also said he wanted nothing to do with Antonio Brown when he was first cut from whichever team he was last cut from. Tom Brady shows up, it's like, hey, how about this? And he took a chance on him, and then Antonio Brown quit in the middle of the game. So,
I mean, it stands to reason that the ability of Tom Brady to say, I want this guy on the team and to get this guy on the team when Bruce Arians, the head coach, doesn't want the guy on the team could create some friction. I mean, that's not a crazy notion.
Yeah, I'm guessing there are a couple of examples of friction from both sides.
Yeah. I mean, both guys are, athletes. Tupi says, damn, boomers don't know bleep about Marvel X-Men.
That's true. I don't.
I know everything about Marvel and X-Men. So.
All I know about it is what my 10-year-old makes me watch, and I get angry. I don't get angry. I just go to sleep. They're fine. But
I love them. I watch one tonight.
Unless it's Star Wars, Wilson don't give a crap. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on Bruce Arians retiring?
No. Breechless Britney Spears.
That seems unrelated.
Unrelated. I'm not even getting that conversation.
All right. Bruce Arians has retired. There's a Thursday 1 p.m. press conference with Arians.
Won't be there.
And the Bucs and Todd Bowles. And I'm sure there'll be more questions and more information coming out of this situation. Of course, we're live every day on YouTube at 1 p.m. Eastern. Come hang with us, spend your lunch break with us, chat with us, hit the like button while you're there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. For Wilson and Breach, I'm Brinson. We will see you guys